Welcome back, folks, to Saida's Orchid Room. Hope you all are well this evening and warm. Burr. It's pretty chilly out, right? Like the fall is transforming into the winter rather rapidly. And with that being said, I just hope you all are staying safe with everything that's going on this time of year. Um, Everything is kind of picking up in pace, hectic. So please be safe while you're out and stay aware. So I hope you all were able to view some of the formerly recorded podcast, and I hope you're ready to have dialogue about any of the topics we previously discussed. I'd like to thank those of you who have already messaged me, text me, and met up with me in person to let me know what you thought about the podcast. I appreciate your feedback genuinely. Some of you even offered future topics to be discussed on the podcast. And again, I appreciate it and I welcome more. You know, there's plenty of conversations to be had out here, especially with all that's going on in society today. So I really liked the last conversation we were having on conquering loneliness. Some people did give me some more ideas about what to do during the winter holiday season that's approaching, cold weather season as I like to call it. Some folks had mentioned joining ski clubs because they take trips to various places, Poconos. I'm not really familiar with all the lodging that goes on, but if you are a person who sponsors those type of winter activities, feel free to share that information with us here at Saida's Orchid Room. There's also outings that will be taking place in smaller venues. The more information that unfolds, I'll be able to share with you. One place off the top of my head that I do know that will have live entertainment is oh God, it just slipped my mind. Right there off of Security Boulevard, my cousin Bridget of Desire, who is a singer, she performs over there. Right now I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me when I'm not thinking so hard. But some other locations are, outside of clubs, are different bingo halls for those of you who like to, see if you can win some money. I'm not one who's big on casinos. However, live casino has a lot of activities that happen outside of gambling as well. They hold concerts there. There's various restaurants, so you can meet up with friends at any of one of those spots and have a little get together. Maybe you might want to go to just check out the sights to just stretch your legs. I know a lot of those of us who are in my age range, we need to stay mobile. So if anybody has ideas of places that folks can exercise indoors to keep their bodies healthy and mobile, please share those ideas. Off the top of my head, I know a lot of folks use the malls. The malls can be pretty safe in spite of the hecticness that happens around this time of year. Depending upon the time of day you get there, you can, pretty much get some good laps in. I'm not sure about how some of you feel about being on the outside at the outdoor tracks at some of the high schools once school lets out. I know we're pretty much getting ready to go into the season where the indoor sports are taking place, so the outdoor tracks are not going to be used as much. So with that being said, that's just a few activities off the top of my head. And again, I'd like to learn more about the groups that travel personally because I'm looking to see some change of environments, especially if it could be warmer climate. And so, with that said, I want to kind of discuss a little bit what's going to be coming up on the second half tonight of our podcast. We're going to be talking to a lovely friend of mine. Her name is Empress Neal. She and I have known each other close to 10 years now. She's a very fascinating person. When we first met, we were part of a focus group, and the focus group was held through Howard County Department of Social Services, at which it focused on finances. And during that time, we were able to meet for maybe about an hour, hour and a half, and we had workbooks that we used to address various financial aspects that should actually be taught, honestly, in elementary school, because that's what most of us are missing in order to be stable with our finances. So, with that being said, Empress and I were able to get to know each other through those dialogues, and one of the things the focus group provided was food for us. They provided dinner every night, along with compensation. Okay, and transportation for those who needed it. So I noticed a lot of times when we would be eating, you know, Empress would always have like a special order for her and actually her children, because children were included as well. They had a separate area for them to be entertained. And I noticed a lot of times her meals consisted of seafood and or just vegetables. And back then, it wasn't a big thing with the cauliflower that you can make it taste like buffalo chicken. She was the first person who turned us on to that during the focus group. Focus group was probably 2018, somewhere around then. And, she would come in just talking about fabulous dishes that she made for her family. And then, also she would share the recipes that her mom passed along to her. So I think you'll find that to be quite interesting when we talk to her this afternoon, a bit later on in the segment. And perhaps you can borrow some of her recipes, implement them. If you're like me, I'm ready for something outside of the traditional dinners. I'm sure we'll have turkey, stuffing, and all that good stuff too this year. However, I'm looking to add something, different, hopefully something that I'll be able to use further throughout the year as well. With that, okay, so I'm getting back on track. I'm sorry, I kind of like lost my thought a little bit. What we're also going to feature when speaking to Empress will be a few of her reels that she actually has posted on Facebook, because we are Facebook friends. And, if anyone wants to ask her personal questions, when we do go live next week, again, feel free. We'll make sure she gets the questions for you answered. And we're also going to have her back in December, so around that time she can share some more good earthy recipes, even some fruit desserts. That's one of my biggest strategies for the season. Myself is not enduring or taking too much in as far as sugar is concerned. Sweetnesses, sweets are a little bit of my downfall, so I'm trying to learn how to be more creative with fruit tarts per se, and lighter desserts, so that moving forward I can maintain my girlish figure. Dig it. So, one of the other things I'm going to mention right quick is that the time of year has come also to open up your hearts. There's a lot of families in need, not just food-wise. They need clothing, shelter, and a lot of it is on the rise here in Howard County. A lot of folks believe that Howard County is the richest county and we don't have homeless. We are a rich county, this is true, but homeless is everywhere. So I'd like to give a shout out right now to the Grassroots organization. They are located off of Freetown Road in Columbia, Maryland. I don't have the exact phone number at the time, but I'd just like to put a plug in so that if you have any old, mildly used clothing that you don't know what to do with, you can drop it off there by the center. Any foods that you can donate, I'm sure they would greatly appreciate as well. When I first started doing spoken word, as I previously mentioned during the first one or two podcasts, I got started from a grassroots event whereby it was a charity. Donations were made for the homeless. It was not just a coat drive because people also donated gloves, scarves, hats, and again, mildly used clothing. You know, children can always use toothbrushes, toothpaste, shampoo, soap, socks, underwear. Just to throw out a few ideas in case you may not know what to donate. Even if you have a spare couple of dollars and you can, you know, write it off as, tax exempt as well to donate. Sometimes it just takes as little as $10, $5 if that's all you give because you're giving from the heart. There's other charities I know that's ran by various churches. So please, if you are one of those folks who have your closets overrun with clothing that you no longer use, or maybe your children are grown now and you got a chest full of toys that's just kind of sitting in a corner collecting dust, let them go to the shelter. They'll know what to do with them. I know some people donate to Goodwill. That's a good idea too. Unfortunately, with Goodwill, they turn around and then sell the items. So we're trying to think about people who are not capable of maybe buying clothes at this time, And with the government shutdown that's currently in process, that might be more people than you know being affected right now and needing, everyday items just to preserve themselves. And speaking of which, we may address that at a different time on one of the podcasts about how the society is being affected, especially now with the government shutdown. It always seems like these kind of occurrences happen when we're getting into the colder months, and we have to figure out how to strategize and combat the greed that gets out of control around this time of year. Not only the greed, but also help combat some of the depression that is at an all-time high due to, people not being able to afford housing, clothing. They're making tough decisions. Should I pay my bills or buy something for the Christmas for my children? That's going to be another dialogue, definitely, the closer we get to the Christmas season, quote unquote, because I like to revisit yesteryear and how we spent holidays before they became so commercialized. And speaking of commercialization, I got word that there is going to be another blackout occurring starting on Black Friday. Repeat, blackout starting on Black Friday through December 2nd, 2025. What is the blackout about? No spending. We have been conditioned to be capitalistic during the holiday seasons. Who benefits from our almighty dollars that we work so hard for when we go out spending, consciously or unconsciously? Not us, not the everyday people, not those of us who's trying to decide, do we buy medicine or do we keep money so we can put gas in the car? Or those of us who have to decide between between groceries or whether or not if we can make it to work the next few days. It's real out here, folks. What's my motto? Let's just keep it real. Everybody ain't out here trying to flash and be materialistic. So we need to show those powers that be we have some control. We know how to manage our dollars. We're not going to play with the manipulation of the okie doke. We got to take a stand, folks. I will have more information possibly by next week on the blackout so that you all can be further educated about whether or not you want to participate. By all means, I'm not here to judge you one way or the other, whether you spend money or whether you don't. You know, we all have our different ways that we celebrate this time of year. So I'm not going to keep going on a tangent about that right now, but I just wanted to make my audience aware so that, you know, no one is fighting themselves to figure out which direction they need to go in when it comes to spending their money, you know. And we're going to have some more topics coming up in the future broadcasts that will help you save money during this holiday season with reasonable gift giving. Some ideas that will help stimulate some of my more mature, seasoned audience who talk about yesteryear and some of the gifts they used to give, you know, when it came to celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ. Okay, I understand there are a multitude of religions out here. We're going to be respecting all of them, in spite of celebrating them all or observing them. Okay? Again, this is Saida's Orchid Room, where we hold respectable dialogue, and we are reaching for expansion. Inclusion is our goal here. It's enough of the dividing and conquering. We want to show our youth that this nation is a strong nation because united we stand and divided we fall. We'll also be having a podcast where we'll delve into music of the past, yesteryear, versus today's music and the messages that we receive through music, you know, and some of that might even include us dialoguing about the movie Sinners, which is still so hot. It's been one of the best movies of this year, and not going into it too deeply right now at this point in time. It just really still sets my heart ablaze when I watch it because of the memories I have of when I would sit and listen to my great-grandparents talk. You know, I was blessed to know my great-grandparents and some of their adventures they had while they were younger growing up. And so when we do dialogue about the history of music, we will absolutely enjoy hearing from the more seasoned audience that tunes in and can reflect upon, you know, what was hot back in their day, the dances, the singers, and all that good stuff. So I hope you all are ready to have a warm and embracing dialogue throughout the rest of the month. And please come prepared with any questions you may have, any input you'd like to share. We want to hear positivity, especially on this podcast. Okay, let's build our tribe together and see where we'll go. This has been a long time coming for me. I'm so grateful. And more than that, I appreciate you all for being a part of the audience so that we can know that we're not in, you know, I don't want to call it a struggle because it makes it negative, but in the journey of keeping our life conditions high, uplifted, so that when 2025 ends, we'll welcome 2026 in with a running start. Open hearts, clear minds, sound judgment. So, we're going to be heading into break momentarily. And as I said before, when we come back, we're going to have the lovely Empress Neal joining us. So brace yourself for a fantastic interview and some marvelous recipes that you can include in your daily diets, or specifically for holidays where you may have visiting folks that just don't partake in the traditional meals. Alrighty, so you all stay warm. Grab something good to drink, maybe a hot cup of cider, cocoa. And while you do that, I'm going to enjoy my Dunkin' Donuts coffee that's gotten chilled. I know it's late in the evening, but it keeps me going. Alright, remember, even though it's winter or fall heading into winter, we must stay hydrated. Okay? We don't need to be collapsing and landing out on the sidewalk in the cold or being found inside because we didn't hydrate. Refreshing. Lemon, water, room temperature. Yay, we are back. And joining us, as promised, is the lovely Miss Empress Neal. Yay!
Guys.
Thank
Thank you, thank
you.
you.
Appreciate you for joining us at Saida's Orchid Room tonight. You
I
look
appreciate
lovely.
you. Thank you, you do as always. And Saida, my birthday twin, I appreciate you so much for thinking of me when you guys came up with this segment. I really appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, and again, much appreciation to you, my birthday sister, 7-7 in the house.
Okay, 7-7.
So, what I was telling the audience is about your fantastic dishes that you prepare yourself from scratch. You use homemade food, I mean, fresh foods. You keep your meals organic. I just want to know what got you into this lifestyle. Can you give us some background on, your upbringing and yeah, all the
Sure,
good stuff.
absolutely. So my early childhood, I grew up for the initial part of my early childhood vegetarian. My parents did no meat at all. So I was the kid in DC public schools trading a burger for green peas. So I was considered a little weird because they would be like, who eats green peas? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And they are still my favorite. And my children too. I love green peas. I understand that's not everybody's favorite. So when I got a little older, I was introduced to my mom started out with, some seafood. Then we did branch over to chicken. We never did pork. Never been a pork household, but we did um, lamb, goat. We were very rich in culture. I didn't come up with a lot of money, but we were very rich in culture. So my mom was always exposing us to different, foods and cultural lifestyles and things like that. So shout out to my parents for that. I think that that shaped the way that I viewed food and especially when it came to preparing food. Honestly, when I was younger, I was a little intimidated. I would cook like smaller meals because I was always afraid of like over seasoning or under seasoning. But as I got older and really began to have a different relationship with food, I realized in my early 20s that unintentionally my relationship with food wasn't that great. I literally worked 2 jobs, was on my feet constantly, but I was 320 pounds.
Whoa.
I worked two jobs on my feet, running around. I was teaching pre-K, as well as working in hospitality on the weekends. So I was extremely busy, very active, but not minding what I put in my mouth. Again,
Mhm.
that's when I really discovered like a rediscovery of my relationship with food and understanding, um, after being diagnosed with diabetes, which I was predisposed to, both sides of the family. When I was diagnosed, I said, okay, hold on, you know, take a
Yes.
step back. Let's figure this thing out because I didn't want that to be, um, you know, the end all be all for me. I figured, hey, I know how to eat well. I've always eaten well, but maybe not paid so much attention these days, you know? So from growing up being vegetarian and then moving into pescatarianism, I felt like in my 20s, I was like, okay, you can figure this thing out. Shortly after being diagnosed, I first started walking everywhere. Like I was just like, I'm gonna walk. I walked to work. I walked everywhere. And that was like my initial jump start of like getting my body pacing and moving. So any diabetics out there, any diabetics, number one, they just did a study showing that walking 30 minutes per day, it doesn't have to be a power walk, it doesn't have to be a jog, just a 30-minute walk per day can double your lifetime. So just want to throw that out there. And I
Mm.
just saw a
Thank
study
you.
about that. But so I thought about it, between my love of animals. Honestly, like I love animals. Everyone knows my dream is to soon have a farm. Um, and my animals will be there for love and education and just agriculture, not to eat. Um, so I looked at it like, it'll probably be easier for you not to eat the cute little babies that you love. So I said, you know what? I watched a few videos on the process of slaughtering animals and things like that. And I
Mhm.
was like, I'm
Yes.
done. I literally was like, I'm done. So I
I
just started
understand.
to, yeah, it's heartbreaking. Honestly, it will make you really look at the way that the animal knew what was happening, and
Yes.
then that terrified, petrified animal, and then I ingest that animal. And so it got me to thinking about my own mental health, physical health, overall well-being, and I was just like, I'm done. So I started to just make, small changes and say, I love veggies anyway. I'll just do sides, if you will. So I started initially really just doing a lot of more of my side. So I'm like, hey, I'm still going to have all my starches, my greens, my potatoes, my rice, and my fresh veggies, my broccoli, my fresh green beans. We have a running joke in our family, greens and grapes,
Oh.
because my baby, my youngest, when he was two, he just went on a tangent about greens and grapes. It was like one of his favorite things to eat. Doesn't really go together. We didn't understand it, but in the morning, I would sit him in the high chair and say, Idris, what would you like to eat for breakfast? He would say, greens and grapes. And I would say, Idris, that's not breakfast. I'm not going to give you greens and grapes for breakfast. But you know what I thought about? Who's going to get mad at a baby for asking for fruits and veggies? So I started to prepare pots of greens, and I would just warm it up for him in the morning, give him his grapes, and he was a happy camper. Um, I think that I took that on from my parents, where fresh veggies were introduced right away into the diet, fresh fruit. And the children, I think it's such a myth when people say, oh, children don't eat vegetables. I'm like, no, preparation matters. So
Mhm.
making sure
Mhm.
that your broccoli is not turning into absolute mush.
Right.
It doesn't look appealing. It doesn't look appetizing, so the kids don't want it. But when you are, giving it a beautiful presentation and it's bright and colorful, sometimes I find it to be a lot easier to introduce these fresh fruits and veggies to little ones. So I
Yes.
um, I just incorporated what I already knew and said, okay, we're cutting out everything else. We'll just do seafood. And even the seafood was sparing. I have my times where even now I am like, "No, I'm good." Like I had roasted red rosemary potatoes and asparagus. I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. I can sometimes just do my veggie, my starch. I definitely do want to say also for people who are taking on that pescatarian lifestyle that it is important to not miss your protein. You still want to hit your protein. So that's why you'll see on my page, I add in a lot of beans. I do a lot of beans. I'm a beans and rice girly because peanut butter, beans, nuts, these are where I get my proteins from a lot of the times to like kind of make up for that, not having the chicken and things like that.
Sure.
So when you're crossing over, I just think it's very important to look at everything. Sometimes you can have hair thinning, and things like that. So you want to make sure that you're still getting all of the nutrients. So you want to work with a nutritionist. You want to speak with your primary care doctor or um, someone of that nature to help you along the way. So you're not missing out on these things because it's very easy. I've had a lot of conversations with folks that went vegan, and the women are like, my hair instantly fell out. Like my hair fell out. And I'm like, oh no.
That's
They're like, they had
interesting.
to learn, you know, how to replace what they're taking away. So it is very important. Um, so again, same thing for my children. They are always eating fresh vegetables. The same one, Mr. Gweens and Gweeps. Another funny family story about this baby, him with the learning, he was 6 when he learned that green beans can come in a can and that macaroni and cheese can come in a box. He
Wow.
was flabbergasted. I had a relative keep an eye on them while I was at work one day, and I came home and he said, Mommy, you're not going to believe this." And I said, "What, Idris? What'd you do today?" And he's like, "Yeah, Sean made us macaroni and cheese and green beans, Mommy." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he said, "Did you know green beans can come in a can?" And I said, "Well, yes, Idris. I did know that green beans could
Mm,
come in a can." And he said, "Yeah." And then she had a mac and cheese. Doesn't taste like your mac and cheese, but it was
of course,
okay. Like,
of
and it
course.
was just so funny, because of their upbringing and them experiencing fresh all of the time. It was like in his mind, he was like, "What in the world?" It was like somebody unlocked a whole new thing for him, and it's always a running joke in our family because we're so used to it. When he was little, he's my unfiltered one. When he was little, he would be like, "Oh yeah, this is nice. Clearly, it's canned, but this is okay." Like, and we would be like, because we don't want people to get offended. But he was just so used to having those fresh fruits and veggies, which I think is just super important for us all. It is difficult, and right now, not to be tone deaf, it is a very challenging for a lot of us Americans. So sometimes, we may want to uh, go organic or do these things, and it's not exactly feasible. I love like Nature's Promise, things like that. Like, they're more reasonable, So also coupons, paying attention, checking those circulators. A lot of time going to your smaller um markets, you can get a better deal than going to some of these major brands. People love Aldi for that very reason, and there's plenty local, international markets and things like that that I really love, because I'm just one of those folks that I'm so used to. Like, my buddy jokes and he goes, "You say, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna fix." And then I hear chopping, and then like, boom, here's a meal. And I'm like,
Well, quick
yeah.
question. I want to
Mhm.
ask you, um what is Idris' favorite meal now? What do you prepare for him now? Uh, Are
his
you guys still
his favorite.
pescatarian only or
So the little ones now, they are not pescatarian technically anymore because chicken has been introduced back into their diet for protein purposes. It's really for my 17-year-old and not the 13-year-old, but he's gonna hop on the bandwagon because he's a foodie, so he likes, a good meal. His favorite all time, since I carried him in my stomach 13 years ago, honestly, is anything curry. This baby has
Mm,
loved curry since I carried him in my belly. His very favorite thing is chickpea curry because that is another thing where I transformed and didn't do like chicken, but I would do chickpeas. It's one of like a huge community favorite. It became out here, me doing live cooking demonstrations in the community. and showing the pescatarian lifestyle. A lot of the folks out here were like, I've never even eaten a chickpea, but like you got me sold. So Idris is definitely curry. So if I do a good curry chickpea, I'll do a basmati rice. I'll do a little
Mm.
spinach, or spinach sag, either one, and even diced sweet potatoes. Put it in there, and I'll usually make some roti or some naan bread, and that boy is sold.
R-
No meat required.
Roti? Did you say roti?
Mhm.
What exactly is roti?
It's literally a flatbread. It's literally a flatbread. I actually, I'll show you on one of the videos. It's like naan bread. They're very
Oh.
similar. And it's again one of those things that you feel like it's going to be like a challenge, and it's not. It's super easy.
And roti is West Indian based, right?
Yep.
Okay, because I the first time I heard of roti was from my friends from Trinidad, but I'd never had it, so I didn't know if it was potatoes. I knew it was a starch, but I just never
Yeah, it's literally like a
experienced it.
flatbread, where you make the
Oh,
dough and then you pan fry it. It's
so
easy
now,
and yummy.
so you've mentioned what Idris likes. What about your daughter? What's one of her favorite non-meat meals?
I would have to say for sap, it would be salmon. It's the salmon that, well, so more pescatarian side, it's my salmon, rice, and either one. It can either be asparagus or green beans, either one.
Mm.
Um, we're all really basic too, where we would love just green peas and a little butter and jasmine rice, and we
Mm.
are all like in heaven. I usually will have it usually as a side, but that's something we could just all eat a bowl of that and be done with dinner. That's another thing that we love. For me, I think when I'm cooking, I really, they've made me enjoy cooking way more than I did as a younger person. But I really think about it with like fresh garlic, onions, peppers, things to make our food like super flavorful. um, I'll use sea salt, but really like a little complete seasoning, and you're good to go. I just think that the process of like thinking of meals sometimes can be
Mhm.
overwhelming, or you feel like you're making the same meal repeatedly. So sometimes it's really helpful, which is why I do love posting. Like I'll make little reels and be like, oh, cook this or that, because I think it's nice just to share different ideas. Because I think as people, sometimes we're just like, dinner. Oh my gosh, what are we making for dinner? You know what I mean? And you don't
Yeah.
want to keep having the same thing. You want to make sure it's balanced, and it can become really grueling.
Yes.
So
Yes, a
keeping it,
production.
yes, keeping it, and with me, honestly, it's very funny. I don't like, as you can see, my every day, this is how I cook, but it's for them. I've never served them an ugly plate. And we laugh about that,
Mm.
my friends and I, because I'm like, again, I think that that is why they eat so well, and they always have. I've never had a problem with them not wanting things because it's presented beautifully. It's like, oh, wow, look at this, and they're like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I'll try it. Um, and I
I've
think
heard.
that that's a good approach for me. It's like making it, you know, beautiful. So it has to taste as good as it looks. So it's very important to, get them seasons going. Us and our
Yes.
culture, we
Yes.
like seasoning, and I don't shy away from seasoning, and I don't feel like taking away one thing is now compromising flavor. I don't believe in that. I certainly also don't think that there's anything wrong with anyone's choice of meal. I have made steak for friends. I've made chicken, whatever they've wanted. So I'm still willing to cook whatever someone wants. It's just that I personally don't eat it. And even now, a lot of people ask me, "Oh, are you preparing chicken occasionally for the children? Do you not?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, how do you know it's good?" And I'm like, "You smell it. You
Mm.
smell. You know."
Mhm.
Uh, for me, I can smell it. I can look at it, and I'll say taste, and they're like, oh, and I'm like, all right, there we go. You know, um, I
What would
don't desire it personally, but I don't think it's anything wrong with anyone having it.
not to interrupt you, but what would you recommend for someone who's like looking at Thanksgiving is coming around the corner? Um, I'm over turkey. It lasts too long. I don't want to do that this year. What would you recommend for someone who wants to maybe have a different or change when it comes to these holiday meals?
I would I would probably say, for me, especially because I haven't celebrated Thanksgiving in at least 10 or more years. Personally, um, while I acknowledge that that's the day that everyone's celebrating, I don't prepare a turkey, of course. For me, I would say salmon. And I would
Mm,
say salmon because you get a whole salmon, so you have enough to feed the family. Still around the same range that you're going to probably pay for a turkey anyway. As long as you get wild caught.
mm-hmm.
I don't I would not
No farm
recommend
raised.
farm raised, yeah. And super simple, you know, put it in your pan. I'm one for throwing that bad boy in the oven.
Mm,
So I'm drizzling it, massaging it with a little bit of oil, seasoning, complete seasoning, a pinch of Old Bay, squeezing that fresh lemon on there. And that bad boy goes in the oven. It's going to be less time than a turkey. It's certainly going to be yummier than a turkey. Look at me, yummier. But it's still something that will cover the whole family, right? And
right.
not so much leftovers, not something that is now running into. And while I love a good leftover myself, I am a leftover queen, I'm a no waste household. But
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes it is inevitable that people end up wasting turkey, right? They
Yeah.
after a while, it's like nobody's kind of eating on it. Everyone's had a sandwich by now. It's kind of like you kind of end up throwing it away. Now, traditionally, I know some mamas are gonna like save those bones. They're gonna make like they're gonna do some other things, but most of the time, I feel like it becomes waste. So I would do my salmon as my main, and I would probably say honestly. You can still keep a lot of those sides. I love a pot of greens. Nobody throws down greens like my mommy. I am
Well,
the chef and in charge, but when it comes to those greens, I am requesting my mother to the kitchen, and she knows that. I'm like, Mommy, come on. And you'll see in my reels that I always say, my mama made me some greens. It's just one of those things that, like, my mom, like, I need my mom's greens. But I would
what
say
type of greens? What type of
both
greens?
both kale and collard are
Okay.
those are our two staple. We usually do either one or combined, but those are our
Combined. Okay.
staples. Kale is like to die for.
Yeah.
I can eat kale
Agreed.
crispy. You know how you fry it in the oven, make it a little crunchy, little sea
Mm.
salt, so bussin'. Um, Salad with blueberries, cheese, a little vinaigrette. Like that's a yummy way to get that kale in raw too. I love it like that. Um, and I would
So
say
wait a
still,
minute. You said you put your kale in the oven?
yes, you can make it a almost like a chip. Almost it's like
Okay.
a trick chip. It's not it's not really a chip, but you can make a chip like situation. So especially when you're like snacking, you have that munchie. That's a good alternative for like a potato chip. And I love me a good kettle cooked chip, baby. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, and I love making tortilla chips at home too. Like I'll make some little henna line chips myself and
Mm.
do a little guacamole. Simple stuff again that seems so difficult. Regular tortilla, use your pizza cutter, cut it like a pizza, throw it in hot grease. It's gonna puff up and turn into a chip. Throw it, let it strain, and put a little salt, a little lime, ready to go.
Yes, ma'am. I needed that recipe. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
need you to
got
go
you.
back to the kale chip. I'm still on
Okay,
because
yes,
kale salads sometimes to me are not good because
because it's so bitter.
yes, exactly. So like how can I get this taste together to want to try this chip? Because I only had one friend who fixed like a phenomenal kale salad and she used lemon juice and I don't know what else, but it was Delish. So what about these kale chips?
So super easy again. You literally, let's say your cookie sheet, that kind of pan, so that you get that crisp, right? So a
Okay.
cookie sheet pan. You can make sure that you're after you clean that kale, let it dry, and you can, use a paper towel to pat it a little drier. Drizzle it. You can use olive oil. I love avocado oil. I
Okay.
love avocado oil for that because I can taste it. It just gives it a little better taste to me. But either one, I've done it with both. Literally, put it in the oven for 400. Let that bad boy like it'll flake up. It'll crunchy flake up. Pull it out, let it cool down for a little while, and just crunch on it. Just literally, it turns into like a crispy chip.
So how long do I put it in the oven for to make it get
The
crispy?
oven, put it in I would say 375 to 400, and
Okay.
literally for like 20 minutes.
Oh, I'm gonna attempt that because, yeah, like I said, I'm looking for something new, and I'm gonna, new and healthy. It
Yes,
can taste good as well because sometimes when it's healthy, it don't taste good.
exactly. And listen, that I think is the the ultimate struggle for us all is finding those meals that we actually enjoy, but that are also good for us. So it's a discovery process for us all. It's a journey, and I'm still very much on it. I'm always looking at like different recipes, um, trying to learn more about different grains because personally, I'm a big fan of basmati rice and jasmine rice. Those are usually the two rice that I eat the most. But wild rice is a better option. I've had maybe one time wild rice prepared well. So we're all on that journey, and we're on it together. So, you can call me and be like, all right, girl, this is what I'm doing. And I'm happy to guide you along the way. But I did like the kale chips, and the kiddos love the kale chips too. So I would say try the kale chips. I think you'll like those.
Okay. And so you said salmon, rice, kale chips. What else would you throw along with? I thought you told me earlier when we had talked, you had another dish with mushrooms.
Yes.
You were telling me
So
about.
yes, definitely. So that is like my favorite thing for folks who are like, listen, I'm just not ready to cut out chicken. I find that people are easily separated from like steak and other meats, but chicken is one of those things that we all love. So, my way for my chicken eaters would be to get oyster mushrooms. This is
Mm,
something that is so reasonable. You can purchase it at most grocers. I usually get it from the international market. They look
okay.
like horns almost like
Mm,
a trumpet, right?
okay.
And you literally do your same batter that you would fry your chicken in and fry those bad boys up. When I tell you I had literally a community full of children who initially said, no, Miss Empress, no, what do you mean you're making mushrooms? You're not gonna make the other stuff? I said, no, this is something different. No, we don't want that. I said, okay. Once I got to cooking, they said, why does it smell like fried chicken in here? I said, you'll see. They said, I thought you said you're making mushrooms. I said, y'all not paying attention. I am. The adults were like on it, but the kids were like still doing everything else. It was during a live cooking demonstration for the community. When I tell you, those children tore those daggone mushrooms up. They were shocked. They were like, I just can't believe it's a mushroom. I'm like, yes. Even the
Mm.
cauliflower bites. I love cauliflower bites. Same thing. My friends who are still chicken eaters will be like, girl, let me just get one of them buffalo bites, even though it ain't real chicken, jokingly, but they enjoy it. It's really yummy and it's an alternative.
Speaking of which, I remember that was what you turned us on to in class back in the day when we were doing the focus class. You had mentioned how your mom had made the cauliflower bites and it tasted like buffalo chicken. And that was before
Yes.
it's taken off because now you can buy it in the stores by the bag.
Yep.
But that's why I was like, I definitely need to reconnect with you to get some more, earthy recipes, healthy recipes, especially as I'm becoming more seasoned. My digestive tract is not like it used to be. So a lot of the foods that I used to enjoy, I can't now.
Got it.
So we're approaching the second half. of our segment with you. So when we come back, we're going to have some reels. And if anybody, wants to ask Empress about some of the recipes she uses and or share, please make sure you join us on our live so you can do so. Empress will be coming back, and we're getting ready to take a short break. Empress, when we come back, please, will you share some reels with us of some dishes that you've made?
It's my pleasure. Absolutely.
I sincerely appreciate you, sis.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate you so much.
All right. Bear with us for one moment as we take a quick break.
All right.
Yay! We're back. We have the lovely Empress Neal joining us. As we discussed on the first half of the segment, Empress has some wonderful meals that she's created reels of. And at this time, I'd like for you to be able to share what it is that you've prepared, and I'll let you take it away.
All righty. I will go ahead and share my screen with you guys.
Yes.
And go on into a few reels. So first ones, these are actually photos. This is super simple. This is fried shrimp with avocado. I'm a sauce girly. If you're a sauce
Okay.
girly like me, I usually will do a sour cream base with a little olive oil, lemon juice. This one is spicy. So this one has the chili sauce.
Mm,
So if you like a little spicy, this is the one for you. But this is super simple, just some fried shrimp, avocado slices, and a little sauce drizzled over romaine lettuce. I'm also quite a bit of a salad girly. I can eat salad like every day. As you can see, I just julienned some carrots. And then the next one here is spicy crab. Again, that same kind of base sauce, but this one has the QP mayo, chili sauce. It's pretty much like a bang bang or a yum yum sauce that you would get at any of your fun, delicious like hibachis
mm-hmm.
spots that I'll make myself. And again, a little sesame seed drizzled over it. As you can see, we've got some hummus and some carrots and pita little not pita pockets, pita little
Right.
squares there.
Mm-hmm.
This is another one. This is one of my reels. And one of we were
Looks
talking about Seth, my 17-year-old, their favorite. This is simple basmati cilantro rice. So that's just basmati with some chopped cilantro in there.
mm,
And the flatbread, again, also that I made, as you can see, it's also just roasted peppers. So your yummy bell peppers, your yellow, your orange, your red, with
mm,
sweet Vidalia onion. And I just roast those off in a little oil and just some complete seasoning. Then I have a green sauce that I made, which is simple again, avocado, a little bit of olive oil, just a scoop of sour cream, and squeeze of lemon. I think a whole lemon for that, whole squeeze of lemon. Blend it. Super simple, easily done.
mm,
And the next one, thank you. The next one, again, this was a simple meatless meal, and this one is a spinach broccoli lasagna. But instead of baking the lasagna, you'll see that I cut my lasagna into strips to turn it into a stovetop pasta versus a baked pasta. So
mm,
I'm here with fresh garlic and onion that I've cut. Now I have my broccoli crowns, and I will just cut those down to itty bitty pieces, as well as my spinach. Just give that a quick chop and chop it down a little more fine, and put that in the pot with a little butter, a little heavy cream, and my good seasoning. Get it going. And this one also has provolone cheese. So just a
okay.
little provolone cheese shred and mix it on up in there with some seasoning. And as you can see, very simple, another simple pasta and salad meal. That is a lot easier and quicker than one may imagine. I think that sometimes we complicate a meal time with thinking, oh, sorry. let's not get into Seppi, into my baby's album. um, so
Ah,
all my artists, my 17-year-old with the gas mask on. So they just dropped a CD too. They're amazing.
oh
So
my, we'll have to talk about that too in the future about these young artists. But those meals looked amazing. That last one especially. You still with me? You frozen? Uh-oh. Did we lose her? Uh-oh. No, she's there. There she is.
so sorry. It kind of like kicked me out there. Sorry about that.
No worries. I was
My
just
apologies.
saying, those dishes look magnificent. Oh my God.
Thank you.
And the funny thing is, you had addressed one of the questions I was going to ask you was about sauces. And I see you created your own.
Yes.
I swear we're definitely birthday sisters because that's what I do at home. I try to create different sauces so that at least whatever meat I'm having will taste differently.
Yes.
Those little ideas. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I am
Thank you.
so grateful. You are so talented. Thank
Thank you.
you. All of them look so healthy.
I try to keep them healthy. I have plenty that are like not the healthiest as well. I still enjoy a good mac and cheese and things like that, but just in moderation. I just try to be mindful
Yeah,
because
you
I've
are.
lost 130 pounds and I want to continue to keep that weight off. It's not my friend. It's no good for me. So I just try to be mindful, but without sacrificing flavor. I don't think we should have to sacrifice flavor when we want to make, smarter decisions.
Yes, and I totally agree. Seasonings is everything, especially in our culture. If it ain't
Yes,
flavored right, nobody gonna want it.
it's so true. It's true.
Oh my
I'm telling
goodness.
you.
It's been a delight having you join us this evening.
You.
We're going to have you back next month in December, and hopefully
I
you'll have
look
some
forward to it.
more recipes, creative dishes to share with us.
Yes,
Again, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule tonight to join us. I appreciate you so much.
my pleasure.
Yay! Thank you, Empress Neal.
Thank you so much for having me. Please feel free to drop my socials in there so anyone who does want to see the meals I prepare or is interested in recipes, they know where to find me.
Before you go, could you share with us what your socials are, please?
Yes, on Facebook, I'm EMP, sorry, just EMP, and then my last name, Neal, N as in Nancy, EAL.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook is weird with me. It won't let me, it thinks I'm using a fake name. I don't know. I've even sent them proof of identification. Sorry. And then on Instagram, I'm Prodigious Empress. So PRODIGIOUS Empress, EMPRESS. So that's both Facebook and Instagram. I really appreciate you so much, Sadia, for having me here. Thank you guys so much for thinking of me. I look forward to coming back in December.
Yes. Take care, honey. Stay
Take
warm.
care.
Mwah,
All
mwah,
right.
mwah.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
That is the end of our section podcast tonight, you all. Thank you for joining in. Stay warm. We'll see you next week.